American's new AC-130J Ghostrider gunship is a beast. Brace yourselves, the Air Force's newest gunship is officially on the prowl downrange. The AC-130J Ghostrider's primary missions are close air support, air interdiction and armed reconnaissance. Close air support missions include troops in contact, convoy escort and point air defense. Air interdiction missions are conducted against pre-planned targets or targets of opportunity and include strike coordination and reconnaissance and overwatch mission sets. The AC-130J provides ground forces and expeditionary direct fire platform that is persistent, ideally suited for urban operations, and delivers precision low-yield munitions against ground targets. The AC-130J is the fifth-generation gunship replacing the aging fleet of AC-130U and AC-130W gunships. AC-130 gunships have an extensive combat history dating back to Vietnam, where gunships destroyed more than 10,000 trucks and were credited with many life-saving close air support missions over the past 4 decades. AC-130s have deployed constantly to hot spots throughout the world in support of special operations and conventional forces in South America, Africa, Europe, and throughout the Middle East. Gunships have significantly contributed to mission success. The U.S. Air Force's new AC-130J Ghostriders have been flying combat missions in Afghanistan since June 2019. The gunships took over from AC-130U Spooky that had been supporting the United States Coalition Special Operations Forces and their Afghan partners in that country. Those Spooky gunships have now returned to the United States, marking the last scheduled combat deployment ever for that version of the AC-130. Northwest Florida Daily News had been the first to report on June 28, 2019 that the AC-130J had flown its first ever combat mission in Afghanistan. This detail had emerged during a change of command ceremony at Hurlburt Field in Florida, during which U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General James Slight took charge of the Air Force Special Operations Command from Lieutenant General Brad Webb. The Ghostriders' first combat sortie had taken place just days before. According to the story, we are pleased to announce the AC-130J has deployed in support of combat operations overseas. U.S. Air Force Captain Kevy Rake, an Air Force Special Operations Command spokesperson. The Air Force declared that the AC-130J had reached initial operational capability in late 2017 with the 73rd Special Operations Squadron at Hurlburt Field, becoming the first operational unit to fly the aircraft in 2018. The 73rd is the squadron presently flying the Ghostriders over Afghanistan. AC-130JS had previously taken part in a number of exercises in the United States and abroad. The last AC-130J delivery is scheduled for the fiscal year 2024. We don't know much about the 73 Roads' initial deployment with the Ghostrider yet, but Air Force Special Operations Command's AC-130s most often fly at night, supporting Special Operations Forces on the ground, either providing direct close air support or armed overwatch during their operations. The Ghostrider gunships are in high demand in the skies of Afghanistan, where they provide close air support and armed overwatch to U.S. and Afghan operations. AC-130J have already flown hundreds of sorties since beginning combat missions in June, said Colonel Terrence Taylor, commander of Combined Joint Special Operations Air Component Afghanistan. Every night the AC-130J is flying. The people they are supporting are requesting them every single night. This amounts to 218 sorties and 1,380 hours in the skies over Afghanistan. Taylor said the deployment of the AC-130JS and the end of scheduled combat operations for the AC-130US very much marks a shift in U.S. military's gunship operations as well. The Spooky gunships, which entered service in 1995, are the last of the Air Force's old-school AC-130 gunships, with a 5-barrel 25mm GAU-12U Gatling cannon, a single-barrel 40mm Bofors cannon, and a 105mm howitzer as their only armament. These aircraft were a direct evolution of the original Vietnam War-era AC-130s. By all indications, the AC-130US are also the last platform of any kind in the U.S. military to use the 40mm Bofors gun, a World War I-era weapon which proved to be a deadly aerial weapon but also increasingly hard to operate and maintain. The Air Force had found itself scouring the world for spare parts in the early 2000s and rebuilding 40mm ammunition from the 1940s in recent years to keep the guns operational. The AC-130J is a very different beast, described by Air Force Special Operations Command officials as the ultimate battle plane and a bomb truck with guns on it. The Ghostrider comes with the standard 105mm cannon and an additional 30mm GAU-23A autocannon and a suite of precision-guided munitions that include the GBU-39B small-diameter bombs, GBU-44B Viper strike glide bomb, GBU-69 small glide munition, AGM-176 Griffin missile and AGM-114 Hellfire missiles. The 30mm cannon in particular, almost like a sniper rifle, it's that precise it can pretty much hit first shot, first kill. Then First Special Operations Wing Commander Colonel Tom Polensky told U.S. Military News, adding that the Ghostrider is going to be the most lethal with the most loiter time, probably the most requested weapon system from ground forces in the history of warfare. The Ghostriders have saved lives, says Chief Master Sergeant Edward Fry, enlisted leader alongside Taylor at the Air Component Command. Them hearing the sound of the gunship overhead that in many ways serves to embolden them, Fry said of Afghan forces who remain heavily reliant on U.S. air power. Even if the gunship doesn't fire one round, it still provides that utility. The precision-guided munitions capability has really added a new dimension to the gunship's capabilities, giving it more standoff reach and the ability to engage targets in multiple distinct areas simultaneously. With its 30mm and 105mm weapons, the Ghostrider can also provide the same kind of extremely precise direct fire support as their predecessors. The AC-130JS are also packed with a variety of updated sensors, data links, communication systems and more, and the Air Force is already in the process of further updating those systems. The latest Block 30 Ghostriders, which the 4th Special Operations Squadron began receiving in March, feature a number of improvements over the Block 20 aircraft that the 73rd Special Operations Squadron is flying in Afghanistan now. This includes upgraded sensor turrets with higher fidelity electro-optical and infrared full-motion video cameras and a new large broadband satellite communications hump on top of the forward fuselage. The Air Force is looking to improve the survivability of all of its remaining gunships against newly emerging threats such as GPS jamming. In 2018, U.S. Army General Raymond Thomas, then head of U.S. Special Operations Command, said that unspecified opponents, most likely Russian or Russian-backed forces, were using electronic warfare attacks against gunships operating over Syria. Entirely new capabilities might find their way onto the Ghostriders as time goes on. Air Force Special Operations Command is planning to demonstrate a high-energy laser weapon on one of its AC-130JS in 2022, but with no more AC-130U deployments on the schedule and AC-130JS now flying combat missions. The Air